everybody. It's January 14, 2013. This Wang Dang. Look, the thing that's saving us, Ms. Kitty, that shows that progress is the fact that amnesty is sitting right there on the front burner. And we still have those three things that they can do on a moment's notice. They can swipe the cards, they can lift the 3 zeros, and they can give up HCL. But Maliki, you guys have to realize, I told you guys over and over and over, Maliki creates so much hell, and he makes you defocus so greatly that you lose your bearings. And all of the issues that are sitting right there that could solve part of this, that solve all of it, he makes you defocus and just forgets about it all and takes you down a whole another road. And that's what he's done. He's been working so greatly since Taliban's illness. And even before then, he kept forcing him to shelf amnesty, to not get together and bring forth the no confidence, to not question him in front of Parliament, to not be, just a ton of things. So I'm going too far with this, but look, we still are at the same point we were 8 months ago and shouldn't be there. This guy at any moment can give up herbal any moment and say, I've decided to allow Dr. Ayat Alawi to participate in the government seat, Alawi as the head of the NCSP, give us the 3 ministers, and have his government on the way, let the currency come out. And everybody needs to understand, Shabibi's just sitting back watching this whole process. He's still the governor of the central bank. I don't care what anybody else says. The IMF doesn't care what anybody else says. They still recognize Dr. Shabibi as the head of the central bank. So Maliki has caused us, again, to be lulled to sleep in the last 45 days, to start having our minds race over a ton of different things. And he scattered millions of people into different camps. I'm talking about us, the investors. And all he has to simply do at any point when he's tired of the chaos is give up herbal or allow Shabibi to come back in the country without an arrest warrant on him. And to lift the 3 zeros. Okay? So I want everybody to say again.
Or both.
Or both. Or either one of them. And just to allow this country to get on about its development. Okay? So I want everybody tonight to think about those things. Open up your mind and see all the clutter that this dude has been allowed to produce in our train of thought over the last 45 days. And that's why I want to take this card tonight. Just think. Think about how many open-ended issues that those politicians are dealing with and trying to solve right now because of that prime minister. And our government, the United States, sits back and tolerates it. We lost 4,700 people on the sands. The Brits lost a bunch of people over there. They're tolerating it. And furthermore, the UN, he's killing people under their nose in the open. And they're not stepping in and arresting this man and forcing a legitimate government to come about. Ponder all that. I mean, I have issues that the reason I want this currency to come about, to develop, to mature, to RV. Everybody listening to me have reasons for that. Start thinking about the clutter that Maliki is producing in all of our lives and the damage he's doing to that country. And we're not forcing anybody to deal with that individual over it. Think about that as we start to ask our questions tonight. The trivial questions. I think a lot of things are trivial now because there's too many human rights violations going on over there. And this man is doing so many corrupt things to his underlings. And the prime minister, to be so abusive, has shut down that government. So, okay, where's you up? What's your final thoughts before you leave?
Well, like you said, I mean, he's created so much clutter, and he's created this whole demonstration thing, and he's created the chaos, just to slow down progress over there. But if we look at it at a simplistic level, if we do have herbal and the GOI and HCL, which are all done and signed off, and then just implemented, like you just said, it can be a very, very fast-moving, fluid process to where we have an RV very, very quickly if those are done, and those can be done literally in 24 hours.
Absolutely.
So there is a lot of stuff in baggage right now, and it looks ugly. But if they were truly to have a meeting of the minds and put everything in place that's already in place, instead of trying to confuse what's in place, then it is a very simple thing as well.
And I want to tell you guys, I thank you for framing it up, everything I said. But Ms. Kitty, I want you to check this out. Before we got the government that they have right now, the GOI that they have right now, the chaos was at this level, and even maybe a little greater, because Maliki had Sauter's compound surrounded. Sauter was threatening to kill Maliki. All kind of stuff was going on in the government. Okay, the Kurds wasn't sending any money to the federal government. They had shut off the oil payments. Maliki had everybody in the uproar, just like now. And he gets up one Saturday morning and gets on TV and says, I formed my government. So I want everybody to pay attention to the chaos that we're involved in right now, but stick to the real issues. That man owes us HCL. He owes us the lifting of the zeros. He owes us the swiping of the cards. This is for the swiping of the cards and lifting of the zeros is to protect his economy and feed his people. That's retirees that's not getting paid. Those cards are connected to their retirement pensions. That's real stuff. That's people's lives that this man is crushing. And, of course, we have herbal that was fashioned by the United States. And the Brits were in there helping us with them, and we had all their leaders there. We crafted it. We knew it wouldn't violate the Constitution. Everybody signed on to it, and Maliki ran back to Baghdad to the National Alliance and crapped all over the whole agreement. And he's been doing it ever since. So I'm sort of outraged now because I talk to people that's there. They're still saying the same things. It's ours. It's done. We're just waiting on it. These are people that's in the sand.
Hey, one other thing on that, Wang, that makes a lot of sense for the timing and stuff, and so they can't leave this too open-ended right now, is they've closed the 2012 budget so they could work on the 2013 budget, but they haven't approved the 2013 budget. And since we know they're under Chapter 7 and the U.S. has the purse strings on paying everything, they're really under a bit of a bind right now to be able to and the Kurds have cut off the oil. So we know that they're under a bind to actually get that done as well, because they've closed the other budget and they don't have the new budget open, so they can't really pay anything without the U.S. Co-signing the check, basically, right?
Wiz, you're a good man. I'm glad you reminded me, but first of all, I want to tell you, they never open any budget. They've been dipping in the budget and taking money out because they'd open them. If they bring open 2011 with paid, period, that's all our money. But Malik has been sticking his hand in there, forcing people to stick their hands in the budget and take certain items out. But check this out. There was a powerful article that came out, and I think it was Sunday or Saturday. Maliki has been backdooring the finance minister. That's why he's trying to kill him now, because he wouldn't give up the money. Maliki had sent a commission to the United States with Zabari and to ask our government to let him have the money out the fund. He said, hey, the time limit is up. I should be able to sign for this with my finance minister. That's the rules we set, and I should be able to take this money out of here. And the United States said, hold up, player. Yeah, you just spotted the rules right, but you didn't finish the rest of it. The rest of the rule was that you were supposed to have an open budget when we allowed you to have this money. So he's done everything except the right things. All he had to do was have the budgets open and running, and he could have had all the money that's in that fund, those billions and billions that we got for him. And the United States had to read him the Riot Act as much as 5 or 6 days ago and tell him, you can't touch a penny. Now, that's why he wants to kill Assawawi, because Sawawi's not going to sign with Maliki. But it has to be the Minister of Finance and Maliki has to sign at the same time for the money. And the United States just refused him and said, we're not giving you a crumb. You did everything but complied. Your budget, you don't have a functioning budget. It's not open. That was a part of the agreement. We're not going to give you any money. So this dude is not dumb. He's creating all the chaos in the world, and he's trying to kill whoever doesn't help him. And all he's doing is stealing money. That's simply what he's doing. It's just robbing that country blind. So the United States just stood up to him and said, no, we're not giving it to you. You know, you can't have it. You can't touch a penny in that fund. But he's saying the time limit has expired, and I'm the prime minister. They said, yeah, but we need both you and the finance minister signature together. And you have to have your budget open before y'all can access this money. Because it's that money, the only reason the United States is going to let them have it is to support the budget. Not for him to take it and bring it any way he wanted, put it in the central bank, put it wherever he wanted. That is not for that purpose. It's strictly to support the budget. And the United States' main focus is to support the RV. That's it. The money that's in 2011, they're not going to let anything happen in that budget because they promised the IMF that we have the money to reconstruct our country and our currency. And the IMF rejected that budget 2 times until they funded it correctly. And the United States swore that they would hold all funds to help facilitate the opening of the 2011 budget. And the same thing with the UN. The UN's holding money for them. And that's the same thing that they signed on for. When that 2011 budget was accepted, everybody that was holding that money promised that the currency, the money that they had for the Iraqi government would go to help that budget, support the 2011 budget for the infrastructure, the restructuring of the currency, and the redevelopment of the country. So that was great, Wiz. I'm glad you led me into that. Okay. Let's go into Q&A. Yes. 832.
Hello, Wang Dang?
Yes.
Yeah, this is old school, brother. What's up?
Man, long time. What's happening with you?
Well, you know, I hadn't heard from you. I know you told me you were going to cut the calls out for a while for just your chosen people. So did you get everything straightened out?
I'm here, right? I'm still standing, right?
Okay. Listen, Happy New Year to you and the mods. I know Wiz had to go, but still, I'm wishing everybody Happy New Year, and I hope everybody's blessed. That's one thing. How you been doing? All right?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And yourself?
I'm good. Listen, I got 2 issues. One issue is I don't want to go through what all Maliki's done. We already went through all. You explained it very well, but 2 issues. One issue is this. The only people I'm going to give a pass to over there because the conditions in Iraq is going to be Matawa al-Sadr and Dr. Shabibi. They're the only 2 people that I'll give a pass to. Everybody else over there, I don't know how they can sleep. And that's including, and I don't want to be mean or anything, but this man is sick. But I don't know how that guy can sleep at night. I'm talking about Mr. Talabani.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know how that guy can sleep at night. And not just him, all the other ones over there. Like I said, the only 2 people I'm going to give a pass to is Matawa al-Sadr and Dr. Shabibi.
Well, let me add one more to that, old school. I have to always respect Bazaini. because that Kurd, I'm going to tell you, that Kurd really wanted to undo Maliki, man. And the only thing that got Barzani off of Maliki was Talibani. And Talibani hurt us all when he did that, okay? Because Barzani was telling Maliki him and his boys is coming from. He wanted Erbil. And we had him on the ropes in May and June, I stand correct, April and May, if you remember, of 2011. But Talibani called that dude on the carpet and told him to back up. You see?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
So Barzani backed down from him.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll put him in there too.
But you're right. Muqtada al-Sadr has become a champion of his people. You're right about that, old school. And Shabibi, the only reason he's not there now, and he's still propping those people's currency up, because if it wouldn't be for Shabibi, the currency we hold now is 1170. But if Shabibi wasn't still involved, I guarantee you the UN would sink that currency. The IMF would sink that currency as far back as 3,500 to $1. You hear me? I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And go ahead.
Yeah, if Shabibi wasn't holding his foot in the door and saying that he still has an opportunity to save his economy, I guarantee you the IMF would just bury that currency. It would be like 3,500 to 1. I mean, it wouldn't be worth spitting on. You could put a whole pile of it and burn it all. It wouldn't even phase me. So you're right. The two people that you targeted, they're the ones that's standing in the gate right now. They're really doing some good things for their country. And Muqtada al-Sadr, if he wasn't there, Maliki's human rights atrocities and his record would be even worse.
Exactly.
He has a threat though. Muqtada at some point would kill that dude. He would harm Maliki, and Maliki knows it.
Yeah.
You see?
But listen, I got one more issue now. I think there's two things here that I think was naive on the part of the United States. One was, first of all, pulling out of there before they settled their government. Knowing the history of those people, they should have never pulled out of there, because that's the only leverage they had on Maliki. Now, once they pull out, the first thing Maliki did is start arresting people. Now, another issue that they're naive in is to think that once they pulled out of there, that these people were going to come to some kind of an agreement with Maliki running around there. They can't agree on nothing, and every time they come to agree on something, they postpone the meeting, or Maliki, like you said, he goes off on another road, or he goes off on another issue that has nothing to do with his government.
Absolutely.
So that's the two issues I have.
So if you're waiting for me to stop you, I can't stop you because you're right. But now let me help you with this, though, old school, because now I'm going to say that you're right, and I'm going to say this. The reason President Obama pulled out so fast, right? Because he had a sworn promise from Maliki saying that 30 days, you got to remember, there was an article out, a letter, saying that the Maliki promised our government, and Muqtada is the one that forced him to do it, said that 30 days after U.S. troops left his government, left his country, the government would be formed. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So this is where we're at. He just lies. He lied to our president. He had no intention to keep up with his agreement. But that's the reason the president stuck his neck out and pulled him out so fast. He had a commitment from the prime minister. And Muqtada was telling him, we are not going to settle this government and these disputes until the United States is gone. Muqtada was making threats also. But Muqtada al-Sadr, he was going to keep his end of the deal, but Maliki is the one that sunk the whole process when we left. He just undermined the whole process. He didn't even try to hold up his commitment to the United States government or his people. But I do want to tell you that you're right about that. I think we were premature, and this man had aspirations of being a dictator.
But Wayne, man, just what you said before, President Bush had already, put the finger on him and said, look, dude, you better watch your step. So they already knew that the guy didn't have too much credibility.
Yes.
Well, anyway, those are my two issues, and like I said, I'm happy that you're back. I'm happy you're having these conference calls again, because I do miss the Denarian community, and I miss you too.
Well, I thank you, Old School, and we're going to be here. I hope it's not much longer because I keep saying the same thing, and I like it when you have 50 people saying, well, Wayne Green's going to say the same thing, 90 cents, and then 4 or 5 days later in RV. That's the way it's supposed to happen. Yeah, I'm going to keep saying the same thing. And I'm also going to tell the community at large that there's 3 ways to solve it now. That's HCL, lifting the 3 zeros, and swiping the card. That's never changed. And the big picture, Maliki steps up, give us herbal, cease Dr. Ayad Alawi, the head of the NCSP, Alawi cease the 3 ministers, security, defense, and interior, and we have a government. And within hours of that announcement, we have an RV. Those things are not going to change, Old School. So do I. I always do. But Old School, we have to make sure that people understand that these things are not going to change. They're in stone. So we've been listening to a lot of titillating stuff lately, and people saying, oh, they got to do it because of this, they got to do it because of that. Hogwash. Those 3 reasons are the 3 consistent reasons that we are going to get money for the 90 cents to fight the inflationary issues that's going on in that country, and that's the only reason that Shabibi is still being allowed to operate on the shoulder of the road is because they don't want that economy to fail. If nobody cared about Iraq, Shabibi would have packed his clothes by now and been gone and got out the process, and the IMF would have slapped sanctions on us. But it hadn't happened. They're still holding out hope that one of those 3 things are going to occur, and if not, that we get herbal. And I'm telling you, it's got to happen relatively soon.
I think everything is going to work out. But like you said, Maliki got it running all over the place and all these side issues, and he always deviates from the real issues. And with that, I'm going to let you call or talk to someone else. Okay?
All right. Peace. God bless. Next caller.
God bless you.
832.
Dang, dang.
2
yes,
Texans.
Michael from Tomball.
Michael, how you doing? Michael, that's 2 Texans back to back.
Oh, I know. One in Katy, one up north.
Yeah.
And so, because actually I'm over here in San Antonio performing some duty over here at Lackland.
All right, Air Force Base. What's going on, Mike? What's on your mind?
I got a couple of questions. I have one request, first of all. Remember about 6 months ago when Miss Kitty called Maliki Malarkey?
A bunch of them call him Malarkey.
Can we go ahead and whenever we have a phone call him Malarkey instead of giving him the respect of Maliki?
Yeah, you call him Al Malarkey. That Malarkey. Yeah. The Malarkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, if we can make that official part of the Lang Day Nation, that'd be perfect. Also, I got a question here. The question I have is, do you see the IQD as, you talk about, in other words, you read a lot about the global reset of money and currency. That's a first question. Second question, does Malarkey have a purpose for delaying what he's delaying? What does he benefit?
Now, first part, I don't believe in all that global reset stuff because it's there's too many different currencies out there, 190 different countries, and no 1 or 2 entities are going to run everybody's currency in the entire world, without being able to answer for it. So I don't believe in this global type stuff. That's the IMF job. We know everything that they do. They put it in paper. And the World Bank, we know what they do. So, no, I don't believe in that kind of conspiracy type stuff. Now, Maliki, your next part of your question, Mike, was what about Maliki?
What does Malarkey have to gain from all of this delay?
Now, see, that's a great question. And I don't think he actually wants to delay anything. He just wants to be a dictator. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to starve the people until their wheel is so broken. They cry for him to just be a monotone type government, a straight up dictator. and let him give them what he wants them to have. And for them to be screaming for other nations to leave their country alone. And he's seen it work. He's seen Sodom do it. So he's just trying to wait the United States out, the UN, Great Britain. He's trying to wait us all out. And by doing that, he's breaking the will of his people. Now, when his people start crying for you to get out of there fast and get out of their country and let them run their business the way they want, he wins. And he almost had us to that point until these demonstrators start showing their rearing their ugly heads, you know.
Yeah.
So, but he wants to be a dictator. That's what he wants, Mike. He wants to be a dictator. The short and skinny of it, that's what he wants. And he's not going to get it.
My last question is that they have a loan from the IMF that comes up in February or comes due. Has that been renewed?
No, it hasn't. Okay? And then they're not going to get an extension. They're not going to get an extension on it either. So we have to wait and see. If we don't have the 90 cents, then we have to see what type of action that the IMF is going to take. I can't answer that. I mean, I know it's going to be some type of punishment. So, say again, Mike?
I have one last question.
Sure.
Also, too, is real quick about the dong, because every time you've been very consistent in what you said, but you gave a 5-year time limit. And the question is how did you come up with a 5-year time limit?
That's not my time limit. That's the time limit the people have in the country over there. That's what they're talking about in Vietnam. Okay? So when I said that, I said that from the very beginning. And that's the way they talk about it. Okay? Because, look, when the IMF caught those guys laundering those dollars for China, that was it. Okay? Now, they're figuring that either China is going to have allowed the renminbi to have to evaluate enough that it would satisfy the IMF, and that way they would let some pressure up off of Vietnam. But if you want to look at the truth, they're not going to let any pressure off of Vietnam until they see the renminbi floating like other currencies and China allowing it to evaluate, and then they're going to clear Vietnam and some of those other smaller countries in that region that China was forcing to launder the dollar for them to allow their country to appreciate. That's all it's about. They're not going to come out publicly and say it, but everybody over there that's counting on that currency understand what's going on with it. So that's done. That's done. That's why I say 5 years, because I actually opened it up, and that's what I got from my buddy's wife. 5 years before the dong even gets a chance to breathe air.
Okay.
And Vietnam. Now the thing that scares me about Vietnam that Iraq won't ever do. Vietnam's been known to just wipe a currency out and create a new one. So the currency that we holding, made of a polymer-based material, they might just say crap on that and junk that currency and just create a whole new one. And all we got is a bunch of rubber dollars that ain't worth nothing.
They won't allow you to exchange the old money for the new money?
No, Vietnam don't operate like that. They done did it to 2 other currencies. They'll just scrap it. Yeah.
Oh. So what I'm hoping for is when this IQD does RV, that there's a big enough RV after the 4 days that I can take up and fill up the cargo, or the cargo facility of my airplane with C5, and come back home.
But look, Mike, this is what I appreciate. The question is about the dome. Just if you see anybody, you tell them don't touch that dome. I mean, it's garbage. Leave it alone. I mean, if you got it, just hold on to it and pray like me. I bought the dome. Yeah, I bought the dome back in 2007, I think, and a ton of it. So, and we almost had it. We almost had 5 to 8 cents. We were hours away from it. and then the IMF slapped sanctions on them. And the bad thing about it, Mike, the state bank was saying they were getting ready to reevaluate the currency. You hear me? They were telling the news media that. This wasn't speculation. They were saying that we're getting ready to revalue our currency, and we expect it to come back to 5 to 8 cents. And we were waiting. And the IMF walked in there maybe 2 days later and said, pump your brakes. Here, take these sanctions and deal with those. I mean, and the IMF said, we'll talk to you in a year. That year has been up now probably 8, maybe 9 months. And the IMF hadn't said a word. They didn't care less about Vietnam. Reason being, Vietnam was being forced to launder those dollars for China.
Wow.
And China was killing the world economy the way it was allowing the renminbi not to appreciate. So they had to do something drastic with it.
Kept the Chinese goods really cheap.
And let me really prick your consciousness and get you to remember, China had just dumped all those labor contracts on Vietnam as a pat on the back for what they were doing with the dollar, if you remember. China had just gave Vietnam billions of dollars worth of labor contracts because they were laundering that dollar for China. When the IMF shut the dong down, that was it. The value fell out the contracts. So, okay, Mike, I'm going to go to the next caller.
Thank you,
thanks for the great question. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Next caller. 719.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Adrian. I never called you before, but I'm from Colorado Springs. And I've been listening to you a while. Whenever you come up on recaps or anything, I don't do the Skype or none of that. I'm too dumb, I think. But my question was pretty much answered. I seen the article on Reuters about them letting 300 people go or something, and I was hoping that was the beginning to the amnesty law.
Yeah, me too. But I knew it wasn't. That was Malachi's flexing his muscle. You can just say it the way it is. That's all it was. He's like teasing everybody because there's no reason they couldn't have amnesty right now. I mean, all of his threats on people's lives and things, that's what got amnesty being pushed back. I mean, 2-3 weeks ago when I told everybody amnesty was going to be here in a couple of days, that came straight out the sandbox. I mean, they were and still said I apologize. It was ours. It was supposed to happen that morning at a particular time, and Malachi shut it down. And most people are saying, I remember Wiz told me, nobody's talking about amnesty, Wayne. I said, Wiz, I'm telling you, we're getting amnesty in 2 days.
I've been watching for it ever since you said that. But
yeah.
I'd
and
seen that little bit this morning and was hoping that was it. Just nobody knew yet. But I guess that's not the case, huh?
I'm waiting. No, it's not. I mean, golly, it's just sitting there. All they got to do is give it to us. Just read it a couple more times and give it to us, and let the people out of jail.
Let them.
And it's going to be a big celebration, and they're going to drop that 90 cent like it was hot.
Yes, sir. I believe you, and I'm ready, and I'm waiting for one of them few things to happen. I compliment you for being one of the few people that knows what you're talking about and sticks with it, just like everybody else. There's a lot of hoopla all over the internet every day.
Yeah, but what you have to, if look, the only way that you can stay on the right path to get the things that you need is to not deviate from what's factual. Right. Okay? All that other garbage it breaks your spirit.
Yeah,
because it has no.
Them people that put it out there, they think it's factual. I think they just don't know.
I don't believe that though. Aaron.
No?
I don't, man. No, I believe a lot of them are just gutting this community for whatever they can, and just they don't care who they hurt. I really do. So let me get off that. I'm getting an ugly face from my wife, so let me not say that.
Okay, so last thing here. Is there a way a guy like me that don't Skype or anything can get more involved with what you're doing? I hear you drop little bits and pieces about these other currencies that are coming, but I don't know any other way to contact you.
Just send me an email at wangdang@gmail.com, okay?
All right.
Wangdang News. I'm sorry, I apologize. Wangdang News. Okay?
Okay, at Gmail.
At gmail.com. And
all
then when this thing happens, Aaron, look, Wiz and I'm going to make this brief. Wiz and I, after everybody come to Houston, it's going to be a select few coming to Houston, probably 1,800 people coming to Houston. But after that, Wiz and I are going to have this big meeting, and it's going to be free. It's not going to be any penalties, nothing. You're not going to have to do anything but bring yourself.
Yeah.
And we are going to have people there to help steer everybody to the right things that they need, financially, whatever.
That's just what I'm after.
But at the same time, I'm going to take the people that are interested into these next three currencies with me. Not the one, right after we RV, there's 40 people that I'm going to call and say, okay, I promise you this. And I'm going to give them the name of a currency, and they're going to go run and buy it as quick as they can. And we're going to take a ride on that currency because I know the time limit on it. I know what's supposed to happen with it. But the dinar has got everybody in a bind. It's like a person that's constipated. Until the dinar comes, a lot of things, I'm serious, a lot of things are being held up. And the same thing with these next 4 or 5 currencies. But I do know what the next one is, and I'm already ready. And those 40 people, they know who they are. And then, after we do that, I want to give y'all living proof when we're standing in front of y'all at this larger meeting that, yes, we benefited from that second currency, and let them tell y'all this is what we made. And then I'm going to lay it out for everybody that wants to follow us. Okay, this is the next 3 currencies. This is my lawyer. Sign this paper right here. And then we're going to go down the road and make money on those next 3 currencies. But I'm not going to do anything other than for those 40 people without lawyers after that. Because it's just every time you be nice, you kind of get it broke off in your area. It's going to be free. It's going to be free for everybody to come. But once they get involved for those next 3 currencies, they're going to sign on the dotted line. Okay? It's going to be the same type of ride. We're going to take the same type of ride, but except this time we're going to have lawyers involved to where people are going to keep their mouth shut and say, okay, this is where we're going with it.
Bet. So, count me in. I'll send you an email.
Okay, send me an email. Because, look, the people that's coming to Houston, our list is much larger than that for that meeting that Wiz and I is going to have probably 90 days after Houston. I mean, that list got 6,000 people on it that we want to invite.
We'll make it 6,001.
So, okay. So, but anytime, like Aaron, when you're listening now, there's probably 7,000 people listening to us. Yeah. So it's just you and I talking right now, but it's probably 7,000 other people like us involved in this. So I have to be accurate. I have to, when I give you guys something, I know what I'm talking about, and I know that it's coming. They just gave us a bunch of black eyes, and we're simply just waiting. And we're all going to laugh about it one day, but the pains we're having right now make it not funny, you know?
Yes, sir.
So, okay, Aaron.
All right, take care of yourself, and God bless. We'll talk at you another time.
God bless you. Thank you for the question.
All right, bye.
Next caller.
Hi, Wayne.
Hi. Who am I speaking to?
This is Brian. Brian from North Carolina, Wayne.
Hey, okay, Brian, you was breaking up on me. Okay, good. Come on. What's on your mind,
okay.
Brian?
Well, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I'm good. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. The beginning of the call, my phone, I should have hung up and called back, but I think I can keep up with you. I missed a lot of the beginning of the call, but now that everything's clear, my question is, for clarity, the timing that you're referring to the entire political process that we're waiting on, such as amnesty and HCL? Is that what you're referring to as far as timing?
Okay, help me with timing. What you mean? I'm saying right now, like, okay, let's say
so far as the lifting of the zero.
Okay, yeah, that can be now. That don't have
okay.
Look, they don't have to create the wheel, Brian. They don't have to do nothing to lift the zeros. They proved to the IMF by keeping that currency stable for 2 years that they had the ability to lift the zeros. The IMF put out a letter saying that at the end of 2010, coming in 2011. Okay? So Shabibi had already set the date for it, which was June of 2012.
Right.
Okay? But when Maliki appointed his finance committee and made al-Sawawi the one he's persecuting right now, the president or the chair of it, whatever he is, he started antagonizing Shabibi because Shabibi wouldn't give Maliki the $7 billion that he stole anyway from the finance committee.
Right.
So look, I said all that for this. Look, we're way overdue for the lifting of the 3 zeros. They got the IMF blessings to do it. They can afford it. We're way overdue for it, Brian. Okay, so timing is against us in that aspect because he could do it at any time. We're in a vacuum. He can lift them zeros anytime they want. Okay.
Okay.
They don't have to fix it. They don't have to draw no laws. They don't have to craft a plan to do it. All that's done. They know how they're going to do it. All of it's done. All they got to simply do is say, we've lifted we're in the process of lifting the 3 zeros, and that 90 cents is available per dinar to dollar. Now, deleting the zeros, Brian, I can care less. They talking about it all day long. I laugh when they keep talking about deleting the zeros because they don't mean nothing to us. They don't mean deal to Wang Dang. They don't mean anything to you. Okay? Deleting the 3 zeros simply means that when we send them, when they provoke us, when they encourage us to give them our 3K notes, that they're going to hold those notes in a vault somewhere, never to be seen again. That's deleting. Lifting is what we want. Lifting says I've placed a 90 cent bounty on every dinar that's out there in the world. I want them back.
Right.
Okay? So then he's going to get the zeros that listed at that point. It's 50. They gave us a great example of 50 dinar notes going to be worth. I forgot the numbers, but anyway, he gave it to us in an article, $43 and some change. Thank you, Mom. $43. So that equates to 86 cents. And then they came out here a few months ago. Wiz made sure I understood it because I kept saying my 86 cents, and they actually said no, it's going to be worth 90 cents to the dollar. So now HCL, Brian, can come out anytime. It's done. It's simply waiting for Parliament to ratify and give it to the Kurds and tell the Kurds, here, go pay your bills. And all the Kurds start doing is taking care of all of the business with anything that has to do with the production of oil and paying up front for it.
Well, that's what brings me
the budget. That opens up the budget. HCL is a line item in the budget, and it has money provided for it. Yes.
Right. So then is that maybe why the Kurds have proceeded with making a deal with Turkey and selling the oil?
Well, yeah, but that's just for the instant need. That's to protect their people now.
Okay.
They're not sending that money back to the central government, and it doesn't help us. That's to help them to provide medical care for their people, to buy seed, whatever they want to do for the regional government, to provide for the welfare of its people. That's why they're making those backdoor deals, to get cash, because the Malik is not paying them half the time. He's not paying them their money. And that's because he don't have to, because HCL is what tells Malik what to pay the Kurds. They bargained for 17 cents. Malik signed on to it and then came right back and revoked it 6 months later and said, I don't want to pay that. So they stuck with HCL that's 10 years old. Whatever the federal government is supposed to be paying them for HCL 10 years ago is what they're getting right now, when he decides to pay them. That's when he decides to send them that revenue back from the federal government after they've sent him the oil revenues for the month. Okay?
Okay. Well, when you explain things, I understand things, but I guess we get the picture, but somebody somewhere is not getting the picture. So So let me ask this: then who has the power to lift the zeros? Is that just whoever the proxy for the governor of the CBI? Is that who we're waiting on?
The power to lift the 3 zeros is an act that both comes out the Finance Committee and the CBI. Okay. Yeah, but check this out. The CBI, the Finance Committee can't hold the CBI when they're ready to do it because they already told them that Shabibi made the CBI declare early last year. The CBI said, okay, we can't tell you how to run the central bank, but we can tell you when to buy and develop new currencies and things of that nature. So they established the roles of that Finance Committee. The Finance Committee can't tell him when to lift the 3 zeros, but they do have to say he has the ability to do it. Okay? And he has the ability to lift the 3 zeros. They can't tell him when to buy new currencies, but they can tell him what new currency to buy. It has to be approved. And they're the one that approved it, the Finance Committee, Parliament. Okay? They clarified all that stuff last year when we watched it, when Maliki made the Finance Committee attack the central bank after Shabibi refused to give them the $7 billion. And they did all that chatting back and forth in articles for maybe 2 or 3 months, defining each other's role.
Right.
So Shabibi has the right to lift the 3 zeros whenever he's ready because it was an agreement between him and the IMF how it would go down, and he met the requirements by holding that currency at 1170 for more than 2 years. And that's what he had to do. And the IMF said, okay, you established the ability to lift the 3 zeros, control your currencies, so we know that you're capable of doing it. So it's up to Shabibi any time. He don't have to wait on anybody.
Well, there was an article you mentioned earlier. I have to go back and listen to the call again. So was there the article, I know the article you were mentioning so far as the United States, the United States having to co-sign something. So, but the article that was talking about the reserves being able to,
that was for that fund that's being held in New York. Yeah.
Right. So the article that was talking about the reserves being 65 and it was going to jump to 110, whether they're talking about million or billion, was that supposed to be a sign or a flag to let us know something? What was that referring to?
Oh, no. The foreign reserve, foreign currency reserve, it's been at 60-plus billion for the last couple of years. They projected it as high as 76 billion. Okay? Now, that tells you the strength of the central bank to hold the value of the currency at the rate that they project for it, like 1170. They're much more wealthy. They're much more wealthy than 1170. Let's just say if Shabibi would have wanted to demonstrate the fact that he can move his currency right now and go to 500, split it in half, make it 540, whatever it is. Shabibi can do that, but it's still 500 to $1. Okay, and that'll be another step that the IMF told him that he had to perform before he RV'd that currency. But he's not going there because Maliki is the prime minister, and he's not going to make that man a dictator and give him all that money.
Right, okay.
But I guarantee you when we see that 90 cents hit the street, we're going to see them blue hats from the UN. Or Maliki won't be the prime minister in that. But either or, it's going to be fine. Because if he drops that 90 cents and the UN rolls in there to secure that country's wealth, that's it. He's not going to rob them with the UN standing right next to him with a loaded gun.
Okay. Well, one thing I'm going to say, you're as I always say, to hear you say things is very comforting because I am just I consider myself to be quite intelligent, but this is new. The currency.
Yeah,
this is.
Look, we just got into a crappy one. I just wish I would have got involved in Kuwait, man. These dudes may have stayed on top of that currency for 3 months, and that was it. And they were rich.
Wow.
But only the wealthy people was involved in that.
Right.
So this one here, we got 3 million of us plus probably now involved, and a lot of us are commoners. We're just regular working class people that's going to benefit from an executive order that the president signed, saying that we can possess this currency. Because if not, all of us could have went to jail for what we're doing, which is profiteering.
Right.
So let's get it done. Get her done Brian, you hear me?
Yeah.
But
yes.
I want him to get it done.
I do too, Wayne.
Okay. All right,
Thank you for your time.
So I'm going to go to the next caller. It's a pleasure.
As always. Thank you.
Next caller. Seven 773.
Wang Dang.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Jamaica.
Jamaica, what's happening?
It's good, man. First, I want to thank you for all you do, and I want to thank the other people that's in the community that's really helping us to understand the investment. The people that's in the community who telling us that Iraq is still involved, and not the crazy ones out there saying that Iraq don't have anything to do with it. Maliki is not a problem and all that stuff. So that's first.
Yeah, I thank you for saying that, Jamaica. I really do.
Wang Dang, sometimes I have time and I listen to these crazy people and the stuff that they say that comes out of their mouth. They're saying that there's no protest going on in Iraq. Just this Friday was 700 and something protests in Iraq, and I don't know what news they're listening to or what they're doing, but it's crazy, and they've been doing that for years and messing up a lot of people's brains and minds. Yeah. But I've been following the news since lately, and I've been more comfortable in the investment, and it's crunch time now. There's a lot of stuff going on. The protesters is one of the biggest things that is going for us right now because they're putting a lot of pressure and the government and most of the Iraqi slate and the alliance is turning against Maliki, and they're doing a lot of stuff to make sure that this stuff get done. And they're saying even know that they're tired of talking, they're ready to implement stuff. And I think this week they should call him for question according to the Constitution. So in a couple of days he should be up in Parliament for question. And they have so much on him. I know that this dude is going to be impeached.
Yeah.
And,
but check this out, Jamaica. Now let me help you with this. Now we should have some fear, a healthy case of fear involved with them questioning Maliki, okay? Because I want to take you back, and I want to control your short-term memory for a little bit. Back in February and March of 2011, you had Talibani, Barzani, Alawi, and Najib all pushing towards a no confidence. But they settled the fact that if they questioned Maliki, that perhaps a civil war would break out. They wouldn't be, because he wouldn't give up easily, okay? Because they got the intelligence. All of the intelligence that they're going to use to question him comes from the United States of Great Britain. And they're going to call that man a murderer. They're going to show him some of the crimes that he participated in. And you got to realize he's the prime minister. And in Baghdad, he controls the military. Now, the Kurds are going to fight him from outside of Baghdad, but he's going to kill a ton of people in Baghdad. So that's when Barzani and them decide, okay, we don't want to question him. We want to take the avenue to where we can no confidence him and vote him out. Send it to Najib in Parliament and vote him out. Okay? So the questioning, Jamaica, the questioning to me sends up red flags. Okay? Because now you're getting ready to convict this dude in a public forum. All right? And if the UN can't get there quick enough, or the United States is not standing there with guns, when that man comes out that meeting, a lot of people going to die. Because they're going to tell him in the open what he's done for real, the crimes that he committed. And this dude wants to be a dictator. So that to me is troubling. And that was a reason that Barzani, Alawi, Talibani, Najib, all those guys backed off the questioning and decided to go with the no confidence before Talibani decided he wouldn't participate. So we got to be careful with that. I wish they don't have to take that route. They don't have to question him to get rid of him. Okay? Okay, they don't have to do that. All they have to do is perform the no confidence on him. Okay.
And I believe you too, and I know they're just looking at the news. They coming from a lot of different angles, to get him out or to get him to do what he needs to do. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming over now, which is pretty interesting. The one thing I wanted to ask you, though, explain to me exactly how we come about to get the amnesty. Amnesty, I know what amnesty is. How we get the money from amnesty.
Okay, take us out. Now, I'm not going to say we get the money from amnesty. I'm saying we're going to get the money because of amnesty. Amnesty he has a bunch of political leaders locked up in jail, okay? He lied to the United States and forced them to participate in arresting these people in 2007, 8, and 9, saying that they were enemies to the state, okay? We locked up legitimate political leaders. But all of the blocks have been telling us since that point, look, if you give us amnesty and allow these leaders out of these prisons, we could form our blocks more completely and complete our government. And a complete government means to me an RV. That's what it is. You had Barzani telling the government that, Alawi told the government that, Talabani, the president, that's one of his biggest things. He's always on the side of amnesty. Amnesty brings us money. And as soon as we see amnesty, we're going to see that 90 cents first because Shabib is going to drop it. Because those blocks are going to get their people and form them completely and get Maliki out that government, and we're going to see our RV. Okay? That's why amnesty is going to bring us money. Because amnesty, they're going to do what they said they were going to do. Okay? They're going to complete that government. And Shabibi has to do things before he can RV that currency. He has to drop the 90 cents to fight the inflation. That's why I said amnesty is going to bring us that money. Okay? But I've been in this since 2006 into 2006, and I know it to be true. They've been crafting amnesty. Maliki was fighting them at one point to try to get the executive branch rolled into that amnesty, and they refused to do it. The UN is going to have to pardon him because he's the prime minister. He's been stealing and murdering. So amnesty is get the people out of jail, the political leaders that's locked up, because you got some powerful political leaders that's locked up in jail. They're innocent. They hadn't done anything against the state. Okay? And once they get out...
I got you now.
Yeah, and once they get out, Jamaica, we're going to see those people go back to their blocks, and we should see Zabibi re-enter the country and drop the 90 cents, and that government's going to be formed. Because you got, like, Barzani's predecessor is in jail. He's the president of the Kurdistan region. But you got people from the PUR, the KUD, the KUP, all locked up in jail. Legitimate leaders. You got people from Dawa locked up in jail, which belongs to Muqtada Assad. So these are the people they want free, the leaders of those blocks. Some of them are leaders to participate in this government.
I got you. I got you. One man. I got you.
Now, amnesty is not directly connected, but we're going to get it. We're going to get that 90 cents when amnesty comes out, because that's what they've said. They're going to form the government. They're going to complete the government when those prisoners from those blocks are released. Maliki knows it. They told the United States government that over and over in 2007 and 2008. When these guys are released from prison, we're going to completely form our government. And that's what Maliki pushed hard and told the United States that these are terrorists. And the United States helped them lock up innocent leaders. They started arresting leaders to these groups, to these political blocks, and put them in jail. So that's why the process is held hostage. That's why we don't have any money. That's why the government divisions are so great, and they can't complete the government and allow democracy to flourish. Amnesty is the biggest reason for that.
I got you on that. I don't know what this guy is crazy. He's really crazy. I was listening to the numbers today, and he's over 25,000 people. That's a lot of people. Yeah. 25,000 this dude have put in jail.
Yeah, Oh, that's probably recent. I mean, this cat, listen, man, when the United States was helping them, we were locking up maybe 6,000 or 7,000 people a day.
Wow.
I mean, and then they got prisons that the UN is not aware of yet, because that's what Herbal addressed, these private prisons. That's why Maliki won't implement Herbal, because it makes them dissolve those prisons, get rid of them, open them all up, let the people out. They got to go, okay? Because you cannot be arrested without representation. And that's what he's doing. He knows it. That's why he won't implement Herbal, because he can go to knock on your door and say, okay, Jamaica, give me your wife, your children, and oh, yeah, by the way, you too. Come on, let's go. And that's the last time your neighbors see you for 20 years. And Malik has got you locked up in a hole somewhere. And that Herbal is intended to get rid of all of that, okay? Herbal is like a Bill of Rights on steroids. It does a lot of things for that country that the Constitution don't do.
All right, thank you all,
okay.
And keep up the good work, man.
Okay, Jamaica, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Next caller.
Hello.
713, yes, ma'am.
Yes, this is Texas Rose. How are you?
Texas Rose, how are you? I'm fine. I like that area code.
A native.
Yes, yes. Now, wait, I like the way you said that. Now, let me help you with this. I was born here and didn't live here till 2001. So what does it make me?
Oh, well, if you were born here, you're still a Texan. Real Texan.
Yeah, but I was raised by them Frenchmen. Okay, Texas
Rose.
Well,
that's good, too, now.
Yeah.
A couple of issues. I agree with your first caller regarding Talibani. I really don't see how he looks at himself in the mirror to shave in the morning, because of him. He knew all of the things that Maliki had done and was capable of doing against his own people.
Yes.
And yet and still, when the no confidence vote, which would have been the easiest way to remove him, he sat on his hands and did nothing but kill it. If anything, he should have been a whisperer in the back room orchestrating. You know, what were they, about 4 or 5 votes short?
Yes, ma'am.
And in all of that parliament, you tell me they couldn't find 4 or 5 people who were against malarkey?
Yeah, they could have got him.
So
they could have got him.
How he looks at himself in the mirror in the morning is beyond me.
I can tell, Texas Rose, by the way you think you're a true Southerner. Yeah, we'd have got him. We wouldn't have had to say it out loud either. But
absolutely.
His goose would have been cooked.
Now, also, my question is, I'm wondering about the United States. Why is it that with our budget deficit, we're not pushing harder to make this happen?
I don't have a clue. I mean, I know we got tons of
dollars.
Yeah, yes, and
this
we want
it. One way to solve some of our budget deficit.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. And it was projected that we had enough dinars to cut the budget in half. Easy. Okay? So you're absolutely right.
Seems like to me he should be tapping Biden make this happen.
Yeah, that's who he put in charge of Iraq and Afghanistan is the vice president. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So you
and I don't care how you have to whisper in Malarkey's ear, but you let him know we're serious.
Yes.
These things you will do. You already know the man. See, I'm old school. Your word is your bond. Now, if you show me you cannot honor your word, why would I believe you for future things?
Yes. Well, that's the way we operate. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Yeah, That's what should be done with this man. And that's why I encourage everybody, Rose, at the beginning of the call, that we need to start calling our senators and representatives again and saying, hey, we lost 4,700 souls, and I want this man to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
Let's make him form his government, get his hands out of our pocket, and turn that currency on. And I think we can do it because a lot of those senators, they're holding dinars also. But we have to provoke our people from our end. Call them and say, why are we allowing this man to dance on our soldiers' graves? Because that's what he's doing. They freed that country up and turned it over. Look what they did. They moved the chicken pen and then found another wolf and put the fox. They moved the chicken pen and found another fox to put in there with the new chickens.
That's
right.
And
that's what they did. We killed Saddam Hussein and found Maliki and put him in our new chicken pen.
And like you say, all the smoke he blows in the room to get people looking in different directions. Stay on track. Stay on point for the things that need to be done. Hold them accountable and give us our RV so we can move on down the road. Okay, Rose, now this is what I want you to do. I want you to call your representative tomorrow, call your senator, and let them know. Say, hey, we had 4,700 souls perish in the sands over there. And Maliki is giving me heartburn every night. And I can
force
do that.
Our government. I'm going to do it. And force our government and force our government to deal with that man because we still have power and influence over that. Even though it's waning, we still have it. Mm-hmm. Because he's running amok. He is more than putting an egg on our president's face and laughing at what our soldiers gave up for him. He's doing more than that. And I like I said at the beginning, I had a bellyache, and I kind of got over it because I started discussing others during the call. But when I sit down and think about it, in my mind, I got to be careful with me because if I brew over stuff, I get to calling people, telling them stuff I'm not supposed to tell them, and asking them if they want to meet me somewhere. So I got to be careful, you know. So we all need to call our senators and representatives again and be forceful and say, look, I'm tired of seeing Iraq in the news, especially in the print media, the abuses that's happening to the people. 4,700 of our people died to give them freedom, and look like we gave them another dictator. And force our politicians to do something with them because they have the power to. And everybody benefits. The people of Iraq benefit. The people of the United States benefit. Absolutely. Everybody benefits. You haven't said anything wrong yet, Texas Rose. And on that note, I have to go to another caller. I want to thank you. I want to thank you and your mods for the wonderful job you do, and I greatly appreciate you taking my call. Yes, ma'am. And Texas Rose, make sure you come to Houston. I'm already here. I know, but when we had an event, I know you're here. I'll be there. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Yes, ma'am. Next caller. 313. Say again. 313. 313.
Wayne Dang, how you doing, sir?
Yes, I'm doing fine. Who am I speaking to?
L. Rice, go blue.
Rice, you're breaking up a little bit, man. That's why. Okay. That's why.
How you doing?
Good, good. What's up with you, man?
Yeah, I got a quick statement right quick.
Please.
I just, from my personal opinion, I've been in this for like a year or more, and I just think Maliki is like a strategist in reference to how to get under your skin, okay? He gives a little, he takes it away. He gives a little, it takes it away. This is what I would call up here, it's what we call up north, the overlay for the underplay, okay? I think he is waiting, doing as much as he can, stirring up as much dust so he can cut a deal. This is my personal opinion. But here's the thing, though. He has to be careful in reference to how he does this, because with the people in uproar over there, all it's going to do is give the powers that be the go-ahead to go over there and snatch him up. All right?
He can be undone right now. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. I don't think he anticipated this uproar over there like he did, like he's seen, and that's a perfect opportunity for the powers to be to go over there and hit him up. So he has to be careful. Secondly, your caller before me said that she couldn't understand why people over here or the powers that be over here are not engaged in this like they should be. This is just my personal opinion. I'm just going to say it. When it comes to this, I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm for the truth.
Yeah.
My opinion on this is this. When I got to looking through all the stuff that I was learning, this is George Bush, baby. And I will say it. I'll give him credit. This is his baby. So it's safe to say when this RV, he's going to get credit for this, period.
Yeah.
This is his baby. Okay. When you look at George Bush, you think he's thinking long term. He wasn't thinking about his presidency. He's thinking about past his presidency. So it's safe to say when it's all said and done, his legacy will be vindicated with this RV. Now, it may be some people that don't want this. Okay? I'm just keeping it 100. I'm a guy from up north. So it's safe to say that it may be situations where they don't want this right now because they don't want it to be credited towards him. But no matter how you look at it, this is his baby. He did this. He signed the agreement that allowed us to go over there, that allowed us to get this money. Okay? So it's safe to say when it's all said and done, he don't get credit for this. Again, I ain't going to say no names, but it may be some people out there that may not want this right away. They may want turmoil right now, all right, and for that turmoil so they can come up out sort of like roses, like they fixed this. But the smart people know this is his baby. He did this. So that's my opinion on this. But in reference to... Go ahead,
I like that. I like that, all right, because, look, if you listen to last week's call and if you listen to me anytime, I always put GW in cahoots with Barack Obama because Barack Obama's smart. He is going to rely on the man that brought him to that dance. And GW brought him to the dance with the Dinar. And like I said last week, I guarantee you he takes counsel with GW on anything he does with Iraq. You hear me?
Exactly.
Because that man that's smart. He's not going to step out there on that limb by himself when he didn't start that party, okay? He's going to go to GW and say, hey, man, tell me what you feel about this. How should this be handled? And irregardless of what anybody thinks, I think that GW, I like all our presidents, but GW is going to be one of the best presidents we had because he helped transfer the wealth. He made it possible.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now, I'm going to tell you what Barack Obama did, and I like to tell people this. He facilitated us in the process of continuance because when Barack Obama first got in office, 6 months later after he got in office, he had to extend that executive order or kill it, and he chose to extend it. So you knew who you was talking to when he signed it, that it would last and it would go on until they RV that currency. He was talking to GW. This was a part of the reason we went there and lost those 47 souls, to free those people and to gain some of that wealth. It wasn't just because we're nice. It wasn't because we're nice people and did it for that out of the kindness of our heart. Yeah, we wanted to help those people get from under a dictator, but they had dollar signs driving a lot of this stuff. And GW has, let me tell you, he's going to go down as one of the smartest presidents, one of the greatest presidents, and I don't need to be reserved when I say that. But Barack Obama is a facilitator to this guy because he started it. GW started, and Barack Obama had to finish it. Okay?
Yeah.
So both of them are in cahoots with this thing. Now, who's fighting who? I don't know. But I do know that you're right, that it's somehow high-level politicians that's disputing or actively talking about this dinar. And we have evidence of that because early in Barack Obama's presidential career, they were talking about the debt, the national debt, and actually said, one of them said on the Senate floor, well, we have currencies held in reserve that could bring the debt down to half.
Correct.
People forget that kind of stuff. You understand? What currency do you think they're talking about? Our money's already accounted for. We know how much revenue we bring in every year. Right. They were talking about those dinars that are stockpiled. That's what they're talking about. So
I would agree.
You're right. It's not unknown, and we do have a lot of heavy-duty politicians involved in this. But it's time for us to force them to get off their hands, like Texas Rose was saying, and go tell that man, I lost 4,700 people here, and I didn't lose them for this reason.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly. I would agree. And my brother asked, he wanted to know, is it this month or what? He told me to tell you, is it this?
I'm going to tell you what. You see that Skype? You see that Skype room? I guarantee you, when I get that phone call, everybody in that Skype room going to know first, and I'm going to call a couple of people on the phone, and then I'm going to take my shower if I'm not in bed and go to bed. If I'm in bed, after I make that call, all right? After I make that call, I'm going to hang up the phone and go back to sleep, you hear me? Because I know what I'm going to do. It's going to be, I'm going back to sleep, and I'm going to wait till in the morning and go handle my business. So,
yes, sir.
We're going to know. You guys are going to know as soon as it occurs. So just I'm going to put a big old message in the Skype room and say, at XYZ at 6:01 this morning, I got a call from this country and said, Baze. And then all we're going to have to do is...
I just want to say one thing in reference to him. I just feel personally these are desperate tactics from a desperate man because the closer it gets, the more risk he's willing to take in reference to the people or stirring up commotion. All right?
Yeah.
And this is the most that he's done in a while. Whenever in my opinion, whenever it gets close or something needs to progress, he goes off on the deep end. So that's my sign to me that, okay, something's going on because these are desperate tactics that he's doing. When everything gets all red tape and stuff, you don't hear formality. But as soon as something about to progress, he goes on ziggity boom.
Yeah, right.
So, yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Did Wang Dang ever give you that MO before? Did he ever tell you that's what he does? But that's the way he behaved, and he did that before he gave us our government too. He did it before he gave us the government that we have now too. The same thing. Yeah. So we coming to the short end of this thing, but I hope
that's a pattern. That's a pattern that people I'm from way up north in America. How do I know this man more so than some people who deal with him? You know? So that's my point. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Now, don't they see this? I'm way up in Detroit. So how am I seeing this and nobody who's actually dealing with him seeing this? That's my point. You know, it's crazy. You know, does he have that much power as far as manipulation where they can't see what's in front of their face?
Well, he's running a fear campaign too, man, because he's got agents out there going knock on people's doors, taking their husbands and wives, locking them in jail, and if that don't work, he's straight up killing them. So he's running a campaign of fear too. Now in America, let me tell you something. In America, this dude wouldn't make it too far because the first time you touch one of my family members, but in that country, these guys just come from under a dictator, man. We have to have mercy on them and our thoughts and show them some compassion because Saddam Hussein beat up on them people for, 25, 30 years in a worse fashion than this. So now the United States go over there and act like liberators, take the chains off of them, and guess what? Deliver them to another wannabe dictator. Right. Now, it's up to us to pull up our big boy britches and go over there and crush that man in the open. Say, hey, player, I didn't let 4,700 of mine die over here for you to come back and reinstitute the same garbage. Right. But it's time for us as citizens to start telling our government that. We're letting this man take this country at the expense of 4,700 of our souls back down the same road, and I'm not willing to stomach that. I'm not willing to stomach it.
It's like a turf war on a global scale, and it's no need for it because everybody benefits. I don't understand the bickering when everybody. Now, some may benefit more than others, but the key word is you're going to benefit.
Yes.
Now, some may benefit more than others. It doesn't matter. I'm going to still be blessed. So are you. So I don't see the issue here, the gripe. And that's what's so frustrating to us in the Wayne Dang time. It's like, wait a minute. Because we all got common sense. We all somewhat smart. And we're like, wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. All right? This should have been done. Over a measly couple of billion when, okay, it just seems to me one person may have a couple more billion than the other person. So what?
Yeah.
But both of y'all are benefiting. So I don't see the issue here.
Well, we're coming. It's going to be solved soon. And look, when we see amnesty come out, all right, if we don't see the 90 cents, I got a bunch of things I want to say, and because I know I'm not going to have to say them, we're going to see it. And people in the sandbox, if you know what I keep telling people, if you really got somebody in the sandbox, they should be telling you the same things I'm saying, because that's what's coming out of that. All this garbage, our people that's over there in the sandbox is not worried about. They're simply not worried about the trivial issues. They know that this is what has been done. Okay, amnesty is ours. The 90 cents is ours. He's got to do it. Okay, but now these things that people are starting to report on and say is a lot of it is garbage. Now, the things that I like is the protest. The protesters was asserting the pressure, like Brian said from North Carolina, on those the smaller blocks. You see, because the slate, the law, those guys are on Malachy's team. You see, along with the National Alliance, and they're all in that. But Dow was affected, and that's Sod and his boys. So everybody's fragmenting now, and Malachy can't control them. And that's what we need to happen. Okay? So the protest is going to facilitate us even in a quicker fashion to get the money. Okay? But now, the instability, the quicker they see Malachy on his way out, watch when they reinsert, watch when the IMF reinsert Shabibi into that country. It's gonna be dropped like it was hot. So okay, next caller. All right.
Take care, man.
Peace.
All right.
Last caller. 727. 727. Last caller. Hello. Hello.
Hey, Wang. This is Harry Senior from Nashville. How you doing, Harry?
Hey, Harry Senior. Good to hear you.
Yeah, I was still concerned about Chapter 7. We're seeing everywhere they want to drop Chapter 7.
Yeah.
Are we close to that or not?
Look, they were supposed to have that done. The United States offered it on a platter to them in August. The United States said we created Chapter 6 for you guys, a hybrid position to roll Iraq into. But they wouldn't keep the doggone hands and feet to the table. They wouldn't put their hands on the table and put the feet flat on the floor, and the United States just allowed the UN to table the whole issue. We created to them and served it up hot and said, this is where we want you to be. But instead, Malachy started screwing around with Dr. Shabibi, threatening the central bank. Who's going to pull them out of Chapter 7 with them threatening the governor of the central bank? Nobody.
Right.
So, Harry, they messed that up, and they're not going to... Look, I don't plan on seeing Chapter 7 lifted until we see that 90 cents and Dr. Ayat Alawi seated as the head of the NCSP, because they're not going to lift that Chapter 7 until that power sharing comes. Okay?
Well, the other thing is the loan is up from the IMF on February 23rd. Is the extension possible, or do you think we're going for sanctions? And here's the last thing is Amber said it in the room tonight that Malachy may welcome sanctions because that'll keep him in power for a long time because everybody will be broke.
Absolutely. And that's what I was alluding to earlier. If he can starve the people and make them cry for the United States, Great Britain, and the UN to get out of that country, and let him run it. That's absolutely.
So they got to get rid of Maliki.
If the IMF slap them with those sanctions, they lose. And IMF, that lady Christine Lagarde she's cold. She's tough. I mean, look, this heifer's cold-blooded. She plays with big boy pants on every day, and she done warned them. And I know she's telling them in private, I'm getting ready to cut you off. So
right.
If we see them make it in the February and we ain't seen this currency and we don't have amnesty, man, look, I mean, it's not going to be another year like the last years where it keeps getting pushed out. No, there's a new sheriff in town, and she's heading the IMF, and she done told them what to do with themselves. Now, they done played her and pushed everything from July to this far, and she warned them again in December. Watch what her next action is.
It's going to be good
for us,
funny.
Right? It ain't going to be funny. No, we hope that Shabibi convinces her by dropping that 90 cents that he solved it. But he's scared of Maliki. He wants that dude out of there.
Okay. That's what we want. We want Maliki gone. It always comes back to the same thing.
If Shabibi decides to say, okay, I'm the big boy in town, and he drops the 90 cents, right? I guarantee the UN's going to roll in there so quick Maliki ain't going to know what hit him. And I've been saying this for 2 years now. I've been saying this for 2 years. If Shabibi gives us the 90 cents first, Maliki is going to be under house arrest. They're going to have him locked down so tight, he's not going to be able to interfere with the economy in that country at all. So that's what has to happen. If Shabibi sees that the United States or the IMF or the UN is going to curtail Maliki, handcuff Maliki in some way, shape, form, or fashion, he's going to give us that money to protect that economy. And he said that. When he came to New York in 2010, he was ready, but he needed protection.
Right.
So, okay, Harrison, did that answer your question?
That answered it. I do thank you, man. Thanks for the call, and talk to you next week.
But, Harry, you're in the Skype room, so don't worry. When we get the call, you'll see it. Just don't buy none of them dongs.
I'm ready for my 90 cents,
Don't buy none of them dongs, and don't let none of our people buy no dongs. You hear me? Harry?
I don't own one of them, and I will not own them. I told you before, the worst day in American history in the last 50 years when they stopped giving medal for killing those people. And I probably shouldn't say that out loud, but that's the way I feel about it.
See, like me, you get me in trouble. You see what I'm saying, Harry?
I know.
Why y'all say
I forget there's other people on the line besides Wayne Dang. So.
Yeah. But that's look, man. I'm not look. But anyway, having said that, right? I'm gonna say something nice and short. I went in the military in the early 80s, the very beginning of the 80s, right? And I'm not going to tell you what division. I signed in the division, and the division commander gave us a speech, blase, and we're hard drivers, right? So Vietnam was supposed to be over since 1975, and that's when people saw the planes leaving, all this stuff, blase, it was over. But in 1981, when I was in the Army, I still know for a fact that we had soldiers coming from Vietnam. So that's a whole nother stuff. You see, so that's the kind of stuff that my wife says. Don't say that, but we know the truth. We know the truth about a lot of things, and our president did think he was honoring a reputable government when he pulled our troops out early. That had promised him that they would have the government formed within 30 days after our troops left. So you have to give people a chance to be honorable, and when they don't. Now I'm going to say something like you said. You have to crush them, okay? And that's what we're failing to do right now. And that's why Maliki is trying to be a dictator, because the United States won't act like the imperialists that we are and go put him on his knees because of his behavior, because of his human rights violations and his rotten behavior. Now, other presidents back like in the 70s and before, Maliki wouldn't dare have pulled that on them. But we're getting to be a more softer, gentler nation.
Yeah.
So and it's costing us. So, but anyway,
I can explain all that to you on another call.
Yeah, and we shouldn't say that kind of stuff in the open either. You know that.
I know that. We feel like we feel, and it's America still.
Yeah, it
At
is.
least for the spirit.
Yeah, we're still the greatest nation in the world now. Don't get me wrong. Please don't by any stretch of the imagination. America, we look here. We'll bring anybody in this world to their knees as a country. We beat the brakes off of them, not even look back. But it's when we don't have this declaration of war that we start looking like cream puffs, because we start to look a little disjointed in our attack.
Right.
So, okay. All right,
I do thank you for the call, man. We look forward to it. I'll be looking forward starting tomorrow morning for next week's call.
Oh, I hope. Okay. All right. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Wang.
All right. Come back, Miss Kitty.
I'm here.
Okay. We're finished with Q&A. Miss Kitty, you got any thoughts, closing thoughts?
I really enjoyed the call. I thought the questions were a little bit different than they have been in times past. They were a little bit more edgy, which the time just flew by, and I just loved it. So thank you for everything that you do. You are so appreciated.
Well, Miss Kitty, I greatly appreciate you. I love you, and I thank you for your comments. And I only got two mean looks from my wife tonight. One from Harry comments and one from So, but you know what, though, Miss Kitty? Look, like you didn't want to tell your age earlier. I think that in my young age and in our younger age, we really got real. We really got.
The last 50 years of the United States when they started giving medals, killing those people.
Who's that, Miss Kitty? Who is that?
I don't know. I have no idea. Who is that? I hear somebody.
They're in the room with us.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, Miss Kitty. Okay, we're back. My wife took care of it. Okay,
right.
Miss Kitty, look. Back when we were younger, the news had less propaganda in it, even though Americans didn't understand that they were looking at a much more concentrated news. Now we believe because we have more news that the news is more concentrated and more truthful, and in fact it's not. We see more propaganda in the news that's carried in the news media today more than ever before. So we, when we were kids, saw the Iraq-Iran war, Israel fighting for all those years. I mean, on the 6 o'clock news, we saw it, and it was true because they broadcasted it a lot of times while the bullets were flying. Mm-hmm. So now that they have all this time to do this time-lapse stuff and all this other stuff, editing of all kind of things, we don't get a pure form of news unless you have somebody in that arena. So we've been blessed to have somebody in that arena. And what I'd like to say after everything I've just said is that patience. We know what we should be getting, irregardless of how many fires Malachi start, how much smoke and mirrors he put up. We know that we are supposed to have HCL, the lifting of the 3 zeros, or the swiping of the cards to give us 90 cents. After that, we know that herbal has to be implemented to share power. Dr. Ayala has to be seated and appoint the 3 ministers, Defense, Interior, and Security. And that's going to bring us an RV. So I keep saying this over and over. I said it 5 times tonight, I think, maybe more. For a reason. Settle down because you're in the short rows now. This is for everybody. Be prepared to go take care of your financial business. Okay? I don't care whether it concludes with Malachi being given a free pass by the UN and then putting him on some island by himself with his billions. I don't care how they solve it. But I do know that shortly we should see a development that brings us our 90 cents. So that's what I want to impress upon everybody. Be patient. Be patient. Trust in the things that you know to be true. Stop following all these rabbits down different holes. Okay? Be a good dog. When you get on one rabbit trail, stay on it. Don't he gonna get that rabbit. Chase that one rabbit. Don't jump off and run somebody deer somewhere. Okay. I said that, Ms. Kitty.
I think you're right on point.
What are your other thoughts, Ms. Kitty, for tonight?
I'm good. I don't have another thing to add to it. I think we covered so many things very well, and actually some different things, or elaborated on some things that we hadn't in times past, or at least not recently. So I thought the call was superb, and I thank everybody for participating.
Oh yeah, I like when a lot of new people call, and I like when some of the older people call, and things of that nature. But I do, you know what, though, Miss Kitty, I do have I want to say again, I want to tell people again, stay away from the dong, because there's no future in it. Okay? Yeah, 5 years down the road maybe. Okay? But right now in the immediate future, don't take money out of your pocket, your family's pocket, and invest in a dong. It's not real. Okay? So I just watched a lot of people get hurt last week, and it was painful. Even though I wasn't hurt, it was painful. And they had people telling them that it was within hours and minutes that it was going to happen. So, okay. So having said that, Miss Kitty, I'm going to let you take us out with the prayer tonight, and we're going to close after your prayer.
I would really, this is just me, I would really love it if Mrs. Wang could do that. I love it when she says a prayer, and I know a couple of people have mentioned that to me and Scott. Not that I don't want to do it, but I know a lot of people just like to hear her, and they mention it. If she's up for it.
Okay, I'm going to give the phone to her, and she's going to close out with a prayer, and then I'm going to come back and say goodbye.
All right.
Family. I pray that God's grace and mercy be upon us each and every day of our lives. As we wake up, we remember to thank God for the small things, for breath, for opening our eyes, the use of our limbs, being able to just for the next breath. Just remember the small things to be grateful for. Heavenly Father, we praise you for being just the great I am, being able to take care of all of our small, simple things that we take for granted. We just thank you for always being there for us, providing for us, taking care of us. I pray for all of the situations and circumstances that people are going through that are listening into the call, and they're waiting for this blessing to be in the next dimension of their lives, that they're able to elevate not only themselves but generational blessings, the Heavenly Father. Allow the blessings to flow and to continue to grow for each generation, through education, through balance, through life, through well-being, the Heavenly Father, but also to remind those generations that there was only one that was able to provide this type of blessing for us, and to remember you always in everything that we do. We give you all the praise, the glory, and the honor. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms.
Okay,
Wang.
Ms. Kitty. Okay, Ms. Kitty. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Big,
y'all.
Okay. Call me if you need me, Ms. Kitty. Good night. Bye-bye.